The next lesson that we're going to be talking about is a sewing lesson, and we're actually going to be making mini keychains, kind of like this little guy right here. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of dark, but I'll hold it up. Haha, there it is. You can see it very well. So we're going to talk about the process. We're going to try some different techniques, but we're going to go through this first. Sewing. The art of sewing is at least 20,000 years old. Ancient peoples joined pieces of material using bone and horn needles and animal ligament or tendon for threads. Around the 14th century, iron needles were invented, and by the 15th century, there were eyed needles, meaning the needles with the little hole in it. Later, sewing needles were made of steel, and as they are still today. In the 1800s, the first practical sewing machine appeared, and today most sewing is done by machine, though some sewers will choose to perform fine sewing and finishing by hand. So here are some examples of the project that we're going to be doing. You guys can choose anything you want to do your keychain out of. You can make a little animal. You can make food items, little eyeballs. Those are cute. You can do emojis. You can do, I love these little cookies. These are so cute. And look, another little Scotty dog. I actually had somebody do this exact thing last year, which came out really cute. So the vocabulary for this embroidery is sewing on top of fabric so that your stitches become the design and are seen in the final product. On, let's see, just very quickly on this little watermelon guy, the smile would be considered embroidery because it is stitching that is part of the design. An applique is sewing an item onto the front of the project, like a patch. So in the case of my little Scotty here, the heart is actually an applique. Here are some pictures of the actual stitches you guys are going to be learning. The only one you're not going to be learning is the catch stitch, just because it's not anything that you're going to be needing for this particular project. But you will learn how to do the running stitch, the base stitch, the back stitch, the invisible ladder stitch, which you can't even see here, which is pretty cool. A whip stitch, which is very, very easy, and a blanket stitch, which is kind of a something that you would use for making your stitches that are on the edges actually look decorative. Okay, supplies that you're going to need for this project. You're going to be needing the needle in your supply pack, the thread in your supply pack, the felt in your supply pack. You will also need a pair of scissors. There is a key ring in your supply pack. You have pillow stuffing in your supply pack. You are going to need paper, pencil, a pen or a marker, button that can be found in your supply pack, and a small chunk of ribbon also in your supply pack. The steps for this process, you are going to practice with the following videos, and you're going to practice each stitch for about 6 inches in length on the practice felt. And you need to try 5 French knots, okay? And so go through one at a time and try them on a practice piece of felt that I have included in your pack. I believe the practice felt is smaller than the other felt that you have for your projects. The felt for your project is like the size of a piece of paper. All right, number 2, practice sewing on a button along with the video. So you have 1 button in your pack, try to sew that on. That's just a skill that I feel like is really helpful, especially for this project. Number 3, choose an emoji or simple design. You must have 2 appliques, a loop, and a key ring on your final piece. So keep that in mind as you're going along. Draw the template out on a piece of paper, then cut it out. Place on top of felt color that you want and trace with pen or marker. You will need a front piece and a back piece for anything you want to be puffy and stuffed. So in the example above, in the elephant example, the puffy body of this elephant is actually 2 pieces sewn together and stuffed with pillow stuffing. But then anything that is an applique or anything that you want to be flat, that's just 1 piece of felt. So in this case, it would be the ear is only 1 piece of felt. Back down to this. Okay. Let's see. Cut out of felt a front and a back and any applique pieces that you want to put on the front. Pin applique pieces on first. You can use extra needle in your kit or use safety pins if you have some. Sew them on the front of your finished piece. Use either the running stitch or the back stitch. That's usually the best for an applique piece. And if it has eyes, or you want it to have eyes, add your eyes at this point and using the French knot method. Okay. Number 8, pin the front piece and the back piece together. Sew around the edges. You can use the whip stitch or the blanket stitch for this part. Leave space at the top for your fingers to stuff the object and add the loop and key ring. So in this case, I sewed from here, I went all the way around, I went around the face and the head, and I stopped probably right shy of the ears. So that left me about 2 inches, 3 inches or so to get the stuffing in, and then I added this key ring last. Number 9 says stuff with pillow stuffing. Number 10 says place your loop and ring and pin it to hold it in place. Then sew up the hole, and when you're all done, do a critique sheet at the end. I am grading you on your design idea, that's 10 points. 2 applique pieces, that's 20 points. Your stitch work, that's 20 points. Your overall finished keychain, that's 20 points. Your craftsmanship, 10 points. Creativity, 10 points. And your critique at the end is 10 points. For submitting your work, you are going to write your name on a slip of paper and lay it down next to your keychain. Zoom in at this point. I want to make sure that your picture that you're taking for me is zoomed in to the point where all I can see is it, just like that. Photograph your project from the front, close up on the stitches, and the ribbon key ring attachment. So that's like right here. How did you attach this part? Upload your photos and your critique sheet to Google Classroom when you are all finished.